So today we are going to mainly we are going to discuss the modes of heat transfer. Okay, so normally there are three modes of heat transfer. What we discussed in the last class also a little bit. That is a conduction heat transfer, it's a convection heat transfer, and it's a radiation heat transfer. So a brief introduction of all these three types of heat transfer, modes of heat transfer, we will discuss that today. Okay, so for conduction heat transfer, what we discussed in the last class, that the conduction heat transfer depends on three things. Okay, the first is, sorry, not three or four things. First is the type of material, what material we have. Second, what is the area of the material through which heat will transfer. Third is the temperature difference, and the fourth was the
Sir,
thickness of the
excuse me,
solid.
sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, actually my network was slow, sir. That's why I am 5 minutes late, sir.
No problem. You message me now. Okay, I'll accept the
Okay, sir.
attendance till 3 o'clock, 3 to 10 p.m.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay. So these four things are there on which the conduction heat transfer depends. As I told you, uh, the first thing is type of material, then area, cross section area of the system or through or of the solids through which heat transfer will take place, thickness of that solid, and the temperature difference. Okay. Now, for example, okay, if you want to calculate how heat transfer will occur or the conduction heat transfer takes place, assume a steady state heat transfer. Okay, now what do you mean by steady state? That also we discussed in the last class. Steady state means there is no change with the time. Whatever that means, there is no change in the rate of heat transfer with the time. So that type of system is known as steady state heat transfer system. So here we are having a steady state heat transfer system. Okay, so for example, this is one of the system in which heat transfer is taking place. So at the left hand side, you can see here, at the left hand side, at this portion, we are having temperature equal to T1. At the right hand side, we are having temperature T2. And here, do not forget that T1 is greater than T2. T1 is greater than T2. So T1 and T2 are not equal to each other. That means there is a temperature gradient, a temperature difference. Okay. And what we discussed in the last class, that the primary requirement for a heat transfer is a temperature difference. So we have temperature difference in this system. So we can go for further. Okay. So we have a cross section area of the system is A. The thickness of this solid is delta X. Thickness of this solid is delta X. Okay.
सर टेम्परेचर चेंज T1 T2 टेम्परेचर चेंज है ना सर?
No, it's not a change in temperature. It's two types of temperature. Okay, at the left hand side we are having T1 temperature. You can say at this surface is at a T1 temperature, and this surface is at a T2 temperature. This surface is at a T2 temperature. Okay, so there's a temperature difference. So T1 is higher than T2. So for example, you can say T1 is about 70 degrees Celsius and T2 is equal to 20 degrees Celsius. And this temperature T1 is same at each and every point of this surface, and T2 is same at each and every point of this surface. Okay, so heat transfer will take place at each and every point like this. Yeah. So now we have these two temperature difference T1 and T2. Now, what we discussed in the last class is that if you increase the temperature difference, if you increase the T1 minus T2, now what is the temperature difference here? T1 minus T2. So delta T you can say is T1 minus T2. Now why we are saying T1 minus T2? Because T1 is higher and T2 is lower. So that's why we are taking as a delta temperature difference T1 minus T2. Okay. If you increase this temperature difference, what we discussed in the last class, if you increase this temperature difference, you will increase the rate of heat transfer. The rate of heat transfer is also increases. So that's the first thing. But it means that this Q, this rate of heat transfer, depends on this delta T. And if you increasing this delta T, if you increasing this delta T, your Q is increasing. Or we can say that for Q is proportional to the delta T. This is the first thing what we are getting from this diagram. Rate of heat transfer is directly proportional to the delta T. When you increase the delta T, the rate of heat transfer will increase. The first thing. Second thing, if we talk about this area, cross-section area. Now what we are having cross-section area is A at the both sides. Okay. So heat will transfer through this cross-section area. So if you increase this cross-section area, the rate of heat transfer will increase. Okay. Why it is happening? Because if by increasing the cross-section area, you are increasing the number of molecules in between. When you're increasing the number of molecules, you will get more weight to transfer the heat from left side to right side. Okay, so that's why if you increase the cross-section area of the solid, then Q is also again increasing. So what we got, that Q is proportional again, this Q dot again for the time rate of change is proportional to the cross-section area. Okay, this is the second thing what we got. First was temperature difference, second is the cross-section area. Now let's talk about the third thing. Third thing is here this delta X. This delta X is nothing but the thickness of the solid. Okay, now if you are increasing this thickness, for example, if you are increasing delta X, for example, right now it is 1 meter and you make it 2 meter. So what happen is, because you are increasing the thickness, the molecules here, it needs to transfer the heat from this portion to a larger portion, to a longer length, So because of this increase in length, the Q will decrease. Okay, so the third thing here what we are getting here is that Q dot is inversely proportional to the delta X, that is thickness of the solid. So these three things we got. The first, Q is proportional to the delta T. When you increase the delta T, your rate of heat transfer will increase. Second, if you increase the cross-section area, you again your rate of heat transfer will increase because you add more number of solid particles. Third, if you increase the thickness of the solid, the rate of heat transfer will decrease because the solid particles has to transfer the heat from one end to far away from it. So the length of transferring heat is increases. So it will decrease the rate of heat transfer. So Q dot will decrease with increase in a delta X. Okay. So if you collect all these relations, okay, if you collect all these relations, what we are getting here, that again the temperature difference is delta T is equal to T2 minus T1. You can see both way you can take T1 minus T2 or T2 minus T1. Why I take T1 minus T2? Because T1 was higher. But in this case, you can also take one more thing, this gradient, this X direction. When we are moving in the positive X direction, we take the gradient in because what we discussed in the last class, there's two things, temperature difference and temperature gradient. What I told you, T1 minus T2 is temperature difference. The temperature gradient means when you are moving in a positive X direction. So what is the difference? So T2 minus T1. Initially it is T1, final is T2. So change is final minus initial. So T2 minus T1 is temperature gradient, delta T here. Okay. So delta T. So when you couple all these things, the Q is the rate of heat transfer will double if you increase the delta T as well as your area, and if you increase the thickness, it will be half. Okay. So if you club all these three relation with in the rate of heat transfer with delta T, cross section area, and the thickness of solid, you will get that Q is proportional to delta T. It is proportional to cross section area of the solids, and it is inversely proportional to the thickness of the solid. Okay, and if you couple all these, you will get the next slide. You will get these things. So this is the complete conclusion that rate of heat conduction through a solid wall is proportional to the temperature difference across the layer, that is T2 minus T1, and the heat transfer area, that is A, but inversely proportional to the thickness of the layer, that is delta X. Okay, so when you couple all these three parts, you will get this Q conduction is equal to, sorry, not this first one. Okay, you will get the first one, that rate of heat transfer is proportional to the area, to the temperature difference, and to the thickness. So area we know it's A, temperature difference is T1 minus T2, and delta X. Okay. So further, if you go, if you solve this, if you remove this proportionality sign from here, this proportionality sign, you will get another proportional constant, which is known as K. Okay. and if you remember, the K is thermal conductivity. Okay, so now from this relation you can get that Q conduction, the rate of heat transfer through conduction, is equal to Ka T1 minus T2 divided by delta X, or negative K A delta T by delta X. Now again, one thing, that when we are taking this delta T, we are taking a negative sign here. Okay, now why we are taking this negative sign, that I'll let you a little bit later. But if you put the limits, that if delta X tends to 0, so in that case this delta will be will be replaced by D, and you will get this equation. The Q conduction is equal to minus Ka dt by dx, and this law is known as Fourier law of heat conduction. This is known as Fourier law of heat conduction, one of the very famous laws, or one of the very important law in a heat transfer. Okay, fine. Now why we are having this negative sign here? Okay, let's talk about this negative sign first. What I told you in the last class, that we are taking the rate of heat transfer positive if it is in a x direction. Okay, if the direction of heat transfer is in x direction, we are taking that heat transfer as a positive. But if you see here, heat transfer is also again taking place in this direction only. Because why? Because T1 is higher than T2. Okay, that's the reason it's taking in this direction. So the rate of heat transfer, if you are taking in the positive direction, is positive. So for example, if Q is here about 500, so we can represent Q is equal to plus 500 watt per watt, only watt, not kilometers per watt only. Now if we change this temperature, T2 minus T1, sorry, or we can say, if we take a positive value, if we take positive value T1 minus T2, okay, because again, as I told you, that temperature gradient means, if you go for temperature gradient, it will be delta T is equal to T2 minus T1, T2 minus T1, and you know T2 is lower as compared to T1, you will get delta T is equal to negative. You will get delta T is negative, and if you put this delta T negative here, you will get Q is equal to negative. But what I told you, if rate of heat, the direction of heat transfer is in a positive x direction, it will be positive only. So to overcome this negative sign, we put a negative sign here. So we always take this delta T as final minus initial if you are using negative. If you are not using negative here, you can take it T1 minus T2. Again, if you are having confusion, again, what we discussed in the previous class is that direction of heat transfer is positive if it is taking place in a positive x direction. Okay, and if and in that case, we are taking temperature gradient. Temperature gradient means delta T is equal to final temperature minus initial temperature, T2 minus T1. That's the temperature gradient. But when you solve this one numerically, you will get T2 is lower than T1, so you will get a negative value. So if you put this negative value here, what you will get? You will get minus, this Q condition will be negative. You will get negative sign here. That means the direction which you are getting from this figure should be opposite. It should be like this one. But that's not true, because heat always transfers from high temperature to low temperature. So what we did, we put a negative sign to maintain the direction of heat transfer. When you put negative sign here, negative will be cancel out, and you will get proper the rate of heat, the positive heat transfer. Now that's why we're putting negative sign here. So if you are having negative sign in the equation, this delta T means final minus initial. And if you are not using negative sign here, it means only delta T you are using, which means more higher minus lower, higher minus lower. Yes, we are using temperature gradient because we are showing that direction of heat transfer is in a positive direction. Okay, we are again let's see these things. This is the x direction. The direction of heat transfer is also in this direction. And why we are showing this direction? Because this is the high temperature, this is the low temperature. Heat always transfer from high temperature to low temperature. That means the direction is correct. But when you solve here using the equations, what you will get, delta T will be equal to T2 minus T1, T2 minus T1. But when you solve it, you will get negative sign. If you are not using negative sign here, if you are not using this negative sign, what you will get? You will get Q conduction will be negative, which means heat is transferring in opposite direction, which is wrong. So to maintain this thing, to overcome this problem, what we did, we put a negative sign here. So negative and negative will multiply with each other and you will get a positive. That means the direction, this direction of heat transfer is correct. Okay, that is the reason of putting this negative sign, because we are taking the temperature gradient. If you are taking only temperature difference, there's no need to take this negative value, and that temperature difference must be positive, then only, otherwise not. Ajay, we are using temperature gradient because the x direction is positive. Yes, however the change the direction of takes place. If you are taking this direction, negative x, okay, what you are asking, if the direction of x is negative in this way, so but the rate of heat transfer is taking place in this way, so in this case, what is the temperature gradient? Temperature gradient will be T1 minus T2. Okay, in this case, if you are taking this as a x direction, but your x is already negative, you are already putting a negative here. T1 minus T2 is positive quantity. When you putting here this positive quantity, negative is always already cancelled out, you will get again a positive value, not negative. But in this case, when you reverse the x direction, the direction of heat transfer will not change. The direction of heat transfer only depends on the temperature difference. It always flow from high temperature to low temperature. Doesn't matter. It doesn't depend on anything else. Okay. So I think I have answered the questions. Okay. Okay. So let's move again forward. So dt by dx, I'm answering again the same question from the what we discussed just now, that dt by dx is a temperature gradient. That means that is the slope of temperature on this Tx diagram with respect to x. That means the rate of change of temperature with the x at location x. Okay, so that's the meaning of this dt by dx is a temperature gradient. So the rate of heat conduction in a direction is proportional to the temperature gradient. That I already told you that this Q conduction is directly proportional. This Q conduction is directly proportional to the delta T by x, dt by dx. Okay, if you are increasing the value of dt by dx, you are getting higher rate of conduction heat transfer. Okay, that means, what does it mean? Dt by dx, you are increasing the value of dt and you are decreasing the value of dx. What we discussed in the previous class, the previous slide, that the conduction heat transfer is proportional to the delta T. That means you should increase this one, and it is inversely proportional to the thickness that should be decreased for a higher rate of heat transfer. So what the statement is written here is that rate of heat conduction in a direction is proportional to the temperature gradient in the same direction. So this is the same direction. Okay. So heat is conducted in the direction of decreasing temperature. Here, I have told you that heat always transfer or flow from high temperature to low temperature. Okay, and it's become negative when temperature decrease with increasing x, because the temperature gradient will be decreased. For example, you are having T1 here. You are having, this is your T1. So in this case, T1 is lower than T2. Okay. Now, when you are increasing the temperature, so temperature gradient will be T2 minus T1 in this case. Okay. Again, it will remain same. It won't change. T2 minus T1. So if you put here T2 minus T1, negative sign must be there. So it's equal to minus K A. Now delta T is positive. It's not negative. It's a positive. So I'm putting this only delta T and dx. Now what does it mean is you are having still this negative sign here. That means what direction is shown here? It will be negative. The direction of heat transfer will be negative to the positive x direction. The positive x direction is this, but the rate of heat transfer will be in this direction. Why? Because your T2 is higher than T1. T2 is higher than T1, and heat always transfer from high temperature to low temperature. Okay, so I hope I explained this statement here. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so negative sign ensure that heat transfer in a positive x direction is a positive quantity. So negative sign is only used to make the rate of heat transfer as a positive quantity. Okay, whatever the value of temperature gradient, you will get always the positive value of rate of heat transfer. Okay, direction will change. The direction is depend only on the temperature values. It always flow from high temperature to low temperature. That's the very key thing which you need to remember. Okay, now K, what we discussed, K is thermal conductivity. Now, what does it mean by thermal conductivity? Thermal conductivity is the ability of material to transfer the heat. If you remember, in the previous class, I told you that rate of heat transfer depend on 4 things. First, the temperature difference. Second is the cross-section area. And third is the thickness of solid. And what was the fourth? Fourth was material. Now, this thermal conductivity depends on the material. Okay. So we'll discuss one by one that how it depends on the material. So thermal conductivity K, represented by the K, is a measure of materials ability to conduct the heat. Okay. So for example, at room temperature, the thermal conductivity of water is given by 0.608 watt per meter degree Celsius. Okay. Now one more thing, you can find out the unit of thermal conductivity using that Fourier law of heat conduction only. Q is equal to minus K A dt divided by dx. So if A is equal to meter square, so A is in a meter square. A is a meter square, dt is in a degree Celsius. Okay, I don't have the sign. Degree Celsius, dx, the thickness is in a meter. Okay, and Q is given in a W, watt. So from here you can find out, we can remove the negative sign here. So from here you can find out that K is equal to watt per meter square, not meter square, meter will be cancelled out from this one. So we'll get only meter here. So meter, this one only. And the temperature can be represented in a degree Celsius or in a Kelvin. So you can go anywhere. So I am using in degree Celsius. So the unit of K will be equal to watt per meter degree Celsius. Watt per meter degree Celsius. Okay. What is written here? What is written here? Watt per meter degree Celsius. So for water, it is 0.608 watt per meter degree Celsius. Iron has very high thermal conductivity. As compared to water, iron is having very high thermal conductivity, that is equal to 80.2 watt per meter degree Celsius. Okay. Now what does it mean? Okay. What does it mean by these two values? For example, you are having a container in which you are filling water. Okay, and you are heating this surface. You have another container which is completely made by the iron, and again you are heating this surface. At which portion? For water or for iron, you are getting maximum temperature at this surface. Here you will get a maximum temperature, or here you will get a maximum temperature. Okay, it depends on these values, these two values. As I told you, thermal conductivity is the ability of a material to conduct the heat. Conduct the heat means to transfer the heat from one molecule to another molecule. Water is having less value of thermal conductivity, while iron is having very high thermal conductivity. Reason, iron is made by a molecule which is closely packed. And don't forget, the thermal conductivity is always maximum for solids, then it comes for liquid, and then in the last gases. Okay, so iron is solid, so it's having high thermal conductivity. That means the transfer of heat Q will be more for iron, not for the water. Water will be very, very less, or if you solve it properly, you'll find that iron has the capability to transfer the heat 100 times more than water. Okay, 100 times more than water. Okay, so you can see here again a different example. Another example is there that if you are having a copper which is having the thermal conductivity of 401 watt per meter degree Celsius, and you are having a silicon which is having a high transfer, the thermal conductivity is equal to 148 watt per meter degree Celsius. Temperatures are same for both the solids at both the surfaces. High temperature as well as low temperature is same, but the rate of heat transfer is more for the copper. Reason is high thermal conductivity. If you are having all the properties same except material, the material which is having higher thermal conductivity will transfer more amount of heat. Okay, so you should remember this thing. It's a very important thing, because you can ask, someone can ask you about the comparison. For example, you are having water, or you are having a iron, or you are having a glass, or you are having an insulation, rubber, wood. So you should know the, no need to remember the exact values for all these materials, but you should know which one is having less. For example, air, the thermal conductivity of air is 0.01, in the order of 0.01, which is very, very less. Okay, water is having 0.608, you can say about 60 times more. Iron is having 100 times more thermal conductivity than the water. Then this copper is having about 4 times more thermal conductivity than the iron. Then we have diamond, which is the highest, the material which is having maximum thermal conductivity at about 2200 watt per meter degree Celsius. So different materials are there for which you can find out the thermal conductivity. Now you want to find out the, again the same thing, if you want to define the thermal conductivity, do one thing, put the value of dx equal to 1 meter. That means the thickness is 1 meter, area is equal to 1 meter square, and temperature difference is equal to 1 degree Celsius. If you replace all these quantities in this equation, you will find that K is equal to Q dot conduction. K is equal to Q dot conduction. Now, how can we define thermal conductivity? So, we can define is thermal conductivity for a solid can be defined as the amount of heat conducted when the temperature difference is unit 1 degree Celsius, and the cross section area of the solid is 1 meter square, where the thickness is 1 meter. Okay, so like that you can define the thermal conductivity. You can see the statement also here. The thermal conductivity of a material can be defined as the rate of heat transfer through a unit thickness, dx is equal to 1 of the material, per unit area, A is equal to 1, per unit temperature difference, delta T is equal to 1. So like this you can find out, you can define the thermal conductivity for solids, or in the conduction heat transfer, or for any kind of systems. Okay, this is applicable for liquid, gas, solid, for anywhere. Okay, so here you can find that different thermal conductivity is given for different materials. As I told you, diamond is having maximum thermal conductivity about 2300 watt per meter Kelvin, degree Celsius. Then if you go down, you will see first we are having solids. Then you are having liquid metals. Okay, then we are having some these are liquid metals. Then we are having a liquid here till here. Only water is here. Okay, then some different other materials like human skin is there, wood is there, helium is there, soft rubber, glass fiber, air, gases are there, urethane and rigid foam. These are the insulators. So you can see the thermal conductivity decreasing. So if you want to conduct the heat in a very high rate, go for the solids which are having high thermal conductivity. If you want to insulate the conduction of heat transfer, that you want that there should not be any type of heat transfer, go for the insulation which are having thermal conductivity like this, 0.043, 0.026, 0.026. That means they will transfer very, very lower amount or very less amount of heat transfer. Okay, so high value of heat transfer means it's a conductor, very good conductor of heat transfer. Okay, what do you mean by high value of thermal conductivity? Like diamond, silver, copper, gold, aluminum, iron, mercury, all are good conductor. conductor of heat transfer. Okay, so we can call the good conductor. If the thermal conductivity is less, in that case we can say they are poor conductor of heat, as well as we can say insulator. Okay, the other term is
Insulator, sir. They are
insulator.
insulator, sir. Poor conductor of it.
Now, what are the insulator here? We are normally having these three insulator: glass fiber,
Copper rubber.
clear, urethane, and rigid form. These three works as an insulator: diamond, silver, copper,
And for the
gold,
soft
and
rubber,
silver.
sir.
These are normally good conductor, and in between we have these different materials. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so materials such as rubber, wood, styrofoam are poor conductor of heat and very having because they are having very low value of thermal conductivity, and they are also known as insulators. So that's the thermal different basics of thermal conductivity. Let's talk about the thermal conductivity in gases. Okay, what we discuss is a generalized thing. Now let's go for different type of substances, whether it's a solid, liquid, or gas. So first go for the gases. So I hope you know about the kinetic theory of gases. Kinetic theory of gases states that when you increase the temperature of a gas, for example, you are having a gas in a container, it's a closed container, and it's filled by the gases here, any kind of a gas you can have, air or whatever, and you are heating it. That means you are providing heat to this container. So kinetic theory of gases states that because of rise in temperature, the kinetic energy of these molecules will also increase. And if the kinetic energy of these molecules is increasing, they will do random motion. They will do random motion. Now this random motion is known as diffusion. This random motion is known as diffusion. They can move in any direction. Any direction. So this is known as diffusion. Second thing, the first thing that they are moving. Now what happened after this moving? What happened is when they move, we are having different number of molecules are available. Number of molecules are available here. So when this particular molecule is moving, or you can say it's diffusing, it collides with other one. So if you know about the momentum equation or momentum mechanism, that when a molecule with a higher momentum collide with a lower momentum molecule, it transfers its part of kinetic energy to the lower molecule. Similar things happen in the heat transfer also. When a molecule is having higher kinetic energy collide with a lower kinetic energy molecule, it transfers a part of its kinetic energy to this molecule. So this molecule also get kinetic energy. If you are having two containers of one container which is filled by the gases, you are heating it from the bottom side, or any side, doesn't matter from bottom or where, any side you are heating, you are having different molecules, different types of molecules are available here. All molecules are having different types of kinetic energy. Okay, so different of molecules are there. Now one molecule is there which is near to this heated surface. That means it will hit it first, and when it is heated, as per the kinetic theory of gases, the kinetic energy of this particular molecule will also increase. When it's increased, it starts diffusing. Okay, diffusing means random movement. So it will move like this and strike with this, collide with this particle which is having low kinetic energy. So when it's striking, it transfer a part of kinetic energy to this particular molecule. Because of that, this molecule also get kinetic energy, and this molecule will again start diffusing, and it strike some other molecule. So this process will continue. This can strike here also. After striking, it can go here also. So this process will continue. Okay. So now there are two different mechanisms are combined when we talk about the thermal conductivity of gases. The first is diffusion, that is random movement of molecules because of rise in a kinetic energy due to temperature. Again, the first is diffusion, which means the random movement of molecules due to higher energy, which is increases because of temperature. Second, collision. When higher kinetic energy molecule collide with a lower kinetic energy molecule, it transfer a part of its kinetic energy to the lower kinetic energy molecule. Okay, so these two mechanisms are combined to find out that how the thermal conductivity of gases is existed, or how the thermal conductivity, the gases can transfer the heat from one part to another part. Okay, so for example, you are having a liquid or gas. As I told you, the kinetic energy of molecules is there, which increases due to rise in a temperature. Okay, and because of that, these molecules do random translational motion or vibrational or rotational motion. Okay, any kind of motion they can do. So for example, as I told you just now, that we are having a one container in which gas molecules are filled. So when the gas molecule with higher kinetic energy collide with lower kinetic energy, the kinetic energy transfer takes place, and this lower kinetic energy strike with other one. So this is called diffusion as well as collision. Okay, so in gases we have these two mechanisms: molecular collision. First, molecular collision will take place, which resulted in a molecular diffusion. There are simultaneous process. Molecule will get the kinetic energy, will strike with other one. So diffusion and collision takes place at the same time, and it increases. This diffusion and collision increases when we increase the temperature. Okay, so this the thermal conductivity of gases is a function of temperature here. So when two molecules collide, part of the kinetic energy of the more energetic molecule is transferred to the low energetic molecule. Okay, low energetic molecule. So that's how your energy transfer, heat transfer from high kinetic energy molecule to low kinetic energy molecule. Okay, higher the temperature, as I told you, the theory of gases states that higher the temperature, higher the diffusion of a molecule, higher the collision. Higher the collision means higher the transfer of heat from one molecule to other molecule, which means higher the thermal conductivity, the ability of conduct heat from one side to other side. Okay, so the higher the temperature, faster the molecules move, higher the collision will take place, and better the rate of heat transfer. Okay, so this is the thermal conductivity of gases. So you can also say the kinetic theory of gases predicts that the experiments confirm the thermal conductivity of gases is proportional to the square root of the absolute temperature, and inversely proportional to the square root of molar mass. Okay, so thermal conductivity of gases, thermal conductivity of gases is directly proportional to the square root of temperature and inversely proportional to the square root of molar mass, like this. Okay, so this is not equal sign, it's a proportional sign, not equal, because if you remove this proportional sign here, number of coefficient will be here, but we are not going to discuss that thing. You just remember one thing, that K is proportional to root T by M for gases. Okay, so thermal conductivity of gas is increased with the temperature and decreased with the molar mass. That is the reason. Okay, let's talk about the helium. The molar mass for helium is 4, while for hydrogen it is equal to 1. Okay, so helium is having higher molar mass. That means the thermal conductivity of hydrogen will be higher than the helium. Okay, so thermal conductivity of helium is 4, which is much higher than those of argon. Sorry, I changed the example. Argon is there, which is having the molar mass equal to 40. So higher the molar mass, lower the thermal conductivity. That is why helium is having higher thermal conductivity than the organ. Okay, what is the reason? What is the reason of these things? Okay, why the thermal conductivity decreases with the increase in a molar mass? So you can say that when a molar mass of a molecule is increasing, when the mass of molecule is increasing, it will take time, or it will transfer less amount of heat from one side to other side because of a higher mass. If molecule is light in weight, it can move very randomly, or you can say the kinetic energy will be higher for a particle or molecule which is having lower molar mass value. Okay, that's why higher the molar mass, lower the value of thermal conductivity. Okay, so I hope you got it.